If you're a computer science student, then chances are you're going to want to be applying to software engineering internships. And while you're doing that, you're probably also going to want to have a personal portfolio website set up. And this past week, in an attempt to set my own up, as well as refine my HTML and CSS skills, I did just that. My name is Alex Bianchi. I'm a computer science student, and I'm going through all of this for the first time. So by no means is my advice in this video absolute. If you have anything you would do differently, any recommendations, if you're going through your own journey and you want to share part of it in the comments section down below, that would be greatly appreciated. And while you're down there, please be sure to like and subscribe. I'm really trying to grow this channel. So what are my front-end skills up until now? Let's paint the picture of where I'm at. And it's not very far. I started programming maybe 6 months ago in Python, did some beginner Python projects, did some Kaggle competitions, and decided that I want to experiment with web development, so I started Free Code Camp's certification track. I did their HTML and CSS certification, their front-end library certification, their JavaScript certification, most of their React.js certification, and I learned a fair bit there, but I hadn't really implemented much in terms of actual projects, so that's what this week was all about. To start off, I planned what I generally wanted the website to look like. I wanted my name to be up in center with my socials underneath it, and then I wanted a couple paragraphs and pictures about what I do and some facts about me, some of my skills that are relevant to software engineering, and then my projects. My first iteration wound up looking a little something like this, which isn't too pretty, so I decided to start using Bootstrap, which is a CSS library that really just does a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and learning it in itself was a great experience. I read through all of the documentation, and implementing it in my own website made everything much smoother and made it mobile responsive, which was something that I hadn't really focused on the first time around. After I kind of had my grid setup done, then I thought, oh well, is there anything cool that I can kind of do? And I came up with the idea for these flip cards that I kind of stole the idea from Algo Expert's website, but hey, the best artists steal. There's some quote like that. And after spending way too much time trying to get these cards to work, I did, and now I don't know what to do with them. So I have my skills on them right now for each language that I'm in a broad soft skills category, which doesn't look good. But yeah, I kind of want to scrap them, but I feel like I put so much time into them that I'm obligated to keep them now. And then underneath that is my projects, and this didn't really take too long. There was some guide on the internet that taught me how to do it. But it's just 3 columns, and whenever you click one, then the project shows up. And yeah, I like it. I think it looks good. And taking the website as a whole into account, I think it's okay for pretty much my first website, but I'm definitely not overly impressed, and I would like to see more coming out of me soon. I don't know if front-end web development is for me, but I'm definitely going to keep experimenting and see what I can do. As far as what I think I'm going to be doing with this portfolio, I honestly think I'm going to scrap it. It was a cool project. It was cool to kind of experiment with some of this stuff, but in the end of the day, I am not a UX UI designer, nor do I really want to be. So finding a template on HTML up, setting it up with all my personal information, and having that be a smooth experience really sets my best foot forward, and my projects will show what my actual programming capabilities are. I mean, after all, HTML and CSS, it was really a lot of markup. There wasn't too much programming necessarily going on, so I don't really think there's a problem with that. First time hosting this, I'm using GitHub Pages, which was a really easy experience. You basically just throw up all of your files into a GitHub repository, mark it as a page, and GitHub will automatically host it for you. Really no need to overcomplicate that, especially when the option is free. For an update on my data structure and algorithms, I'm almost halfway through the textbook that I've been reading, and I think I'm about ready to start doing LeetCode and Algo Expert questions, so I'm really implementing the code that I'm learning. As far as projects are concerned, the next thing that I want to work on is an algorithm visualizer. It looks like a really fun project. I've built one in Python before with a tutorial, and I want to see if I can do it in React and JavaScript. Seems like I could do some really cool stuff as far as building maybe mazes, trying to make a game out of it, and really just making it a portfolio-worthy project. I also want to go back to Kaggle and compete in another one of their more advanced competitions so that I have more than just Kaggle Titanic on my resume. If you don't know, Kaggle Titanic is kind of the entry-level machine learning project that everyone does when they're getting started. As far as resources that I used for building this website, W3 Schools came up a decent amount of my Google searches, but I don't know if it's the best resource to be using, and really just documentation. I'm starting to really value documentation as the best way to learn and implement things, as opposed to something like Free Code Camp. Love Free Code Camp, would highly recommend it to anyone getting started, but I feel like I'm at the point now where I can just read documentation and implement it in my own code, use Stack Overflow, and get the job done. That's probably the best way for me to be learning. So yeah, this was a pretty quick video. Just wanted to update you guys on my progress and what I was doing this week. And yeah, hope you guys have a great weekend. Peace.